A good Voch Rabboisai. Mishe Chasadoy. Mishe. Michael. Ho. Ay, Mishe Nichnas. Amator Marke. Ay, Mishe Nichnas. Marbe Besembo. Mishe. Mishe Nichnas Adoy. Mishe. Oy, Mishe Nichnas Amator Marbe Besembo. Mishe Nichnas Amator Marbe Besembo. Boys, we have a lot of guests tonight, Baruch Hashem. If you're not a guest, raise your hand. The rest of you, Shalom Aleichem, welcome. Welcome to you. I'm not going to ask you everybody's name. It's going to take a half hour. If you're a guest, raise your hand, please. No, there's a few more. You're not a guest? Zebu said hello to him. You guys in the back. Okay. Shkoyach. Rabbi Isai, we're just going to read one email. Yitzi Eisenthal from Belgium. I'm originally from London and therefore connecting myself to the NDY London team. After seeing today's shir, there was a guest from Belgium. I wanted to let you know that besides for today's guest, there are at least two others besides myself learning a shir. It's being in a place where most learning Yiddish, because in Belgium they speak a good Yiddish over there. The encouragement from Shimi Liefman and Dov Harris, I'm trying to spread your shir to people who I know are not learning every day. And now with the Hebrew shir too, whatever that means. Thank you for your clear shiur and pushing us to learn every day. Reiner Shai, Yakush Baruch will give you the koyach to continue your avodas HaKodesh Yitzi Eisenthal. Rabbi Isai, we're just going to do a few of the Yisoidas in Shas, because it is Motzei Shabbos. And the first one is, everybody knows Avodim Chaver Levraya, but I like the Rosh Tevis. Hey Mem, Ayin Hey. Remember that. What is Chemveni Al Pinkasai? That's a storekeeper who writes things down. And basically, there's a fight going on. It's a nice, we had it a number of times. The storekeeper tells his employee to go take food from a store and he'll pay the owner of the store. The owner of the store agrees. And at the end, both the storekeeper and, the worker, the employee, and the owner of the store come to the employer and they want money. So we had a machlokes to get the money. Both of them get the money. Does he have to make a shvua? Do they have to make shvuas or not? Moide b'knas potter. Was that clear or did I have to say it again? There was an employee and employer. The employer told the employee to go get food from a store. And he told the owner of the store he'll pay him whatever he gives the employee. At the end, the employee and the store owner both claim that they want to get paid. The employee says, I never got food from the store. The store owner says, I gave him food. And now they both come to demand money from the employer and he has to pay both of them. Moide b'knas potter, famous one. Anytime a person, let's say, admits that he stole, he doesn't have to pay the double, the kefil, because kefil is a knas. Milva lahitza nitna. When you give somebody a loan, you can't. Obviously, they borrowed money so they could spend it. You can't rely on the fact that they might have the money there, and therefore it's neged to different halachas. It's not like a pikadon where it should be at the guy's house where money is not supposed to be there. This is not a yisoid in Shas, it's just a yisoid in life. And there's going to be sweatshirts and t-shirts, and it's going to be a line. Hopefully we never forget that line. Heilach is a concept where somebody says you owe me money. Now I could say I don't owe you anything. I could say I owe you half, that's more than miktas, or I could say, Heilach, here it is. Or go get it from my house. Is that different than admitting to half or some of it? And that was a sugi that we had. Shvuas Heses is a shvua d'Rabbanan, and it basically goes together with this. We have a chazak. If somebody says, you owe me $100, and he denies the whole thing, so he's a kafir bakal, he shouldn't be chayav shvua. But Rabbanan said you should make a shvua. Why? Because he's a chazaka, a person just doesn't start out with people and ask them for money and claim that they owe money if there's nothing to it. So to make sure that there's nothing to it, you tell the guy that the claim, even though he's pater from a shvua, you tell him to make a shvua heses. All over Shas we have shtika kahida. A person is silent, that means he's admitting to the claim. Meaning, when it comes to Hegdish, when you want to donate something to the Beis Hamikdash, you don't have to give it. You could just say this is Hegdish, and it becomes Hegdish. Ein shliach l'dvar aver. We'll actually be touching a little bit on it. You cannot send somebody to do an avera. Why? Because of divrei harav, divrei atalmud, divrei mishayim. So if I send somebody to kill someone, he's liable, not the one sending. In certain circumstances, you are chayav a little bit. Okay. And that brings us to today's sponsors. The Masechta sponsored by Anonymous, not too many. Anonymous for safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas Chodesh, Mazal Tov Ahron, Reb Eli, and the entire mishpacha for the birth of Sophia Ruth. Parnas Chodesh, zechus Ben Yosef. Parnas Chodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be zechus for Reb Eli for continuing siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas Shavua, yutah bas Ahron. No sponsor of the day. Parnas Chodesh for the art, Anonymous for zechus for easy childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. One day we'll find out that this baby is like a year old, and he's already talking about the next baby. So, what we had is, in our Mishnah, we had OMG, MDY socks, Chaim, get them for me. Okay, great. Guy's on a horse, he can't reach the Metzia, the lost object. He has somebody to pick it up for him, and the guy decides to take it for himself. Okay, so the Gemara brings, it's a beautiful sugya, whether or not someone could acquire something from Hefker, from, let's say, there's wheat left over in the field, and you have to give it to the poor. Can another individual that doesn't own the field, can he come by, grab the wheat, a wealthy guy that doesn't deserve the wheat, could he take the wheat and give it to the poor person that he wants to give it to his neighbor? And the Gemara goes into, there's two miguis here. And the question is, could you say two miguis? Migui number one is, every wealthy person can become poor immediately, just by saying that all his belongings are hefker. That's migui sheyachal hafker nechasav. That migui, the Gemara calls, like on the bottom, the code word for that migui is mi'asher la'ani. From a wealthy person to a poor person, you could just say, in a moment, you could say, everything I own is hefker, and you become eligible for that matana of the ani. You could take that peya, let's say, the shikha, and therefore, since you could take it, now we go over to the next migui. The next migui is called, in the box, the code name for that migui is called me'ani la'ani. Now that you're poor, the migui makes you poor. Now that you're poor, can you give it over to anybody you like? You're poor. Since you could acquire it yourself, therefore, I am going to acquire it from my friend. Happens to be, you know what? Let me see if I could jump off of this for a second and go to this. It's already in tomorrow's shir. Let me see. Only because, let me show you real quickly. This guy over here, his name is Spiro. I forgot his first name, Yossi. Maybe he says his name. He does say his name. So he made this video. He's been with the shir for a while. He made this video because of what I said on that line. I said that if you're enjoying the shir, so migi the zachel nafshei, if you had a zechus for yourself, zachel chavrei, say over to your friend. So he got on. He said as soon as he heard that, he stopped. He took his video camera and he did this. And this is what he has to say.
Hi, Reb Eli. My name is Spiro. I started the daffim beginning of Bava Kama thanks to my wonderful Shasathon Charusa Yochanan Itzkowitz for the last 11 years. Someday I'm making my first siyum ever. Thank you so much. The daf has truly changed my life. I appreciate it every single day.
First siyum ever, Rabbi Isai. Unbelievable. And why? Because he was encouraged by these words over here. Okay. So basically, now let me somehow get back to our shir. I wasn't planning on showing that. I was planning on showing it tomorrow, but okay. Show it to the Israelis. So, now we just have to go over here and everything should work. Okay, great. So again, we have two miguis. And machlokes, do we say two miguis or only one migui? In other words, we're holding right now, everybody agrees you're going to say migui that's called ma'anilani. Migui number 2, everybody agrees that we're going to do that. Question is, if a person is wealthy, could you also use a second migui? Is it fair to use two miguis to get to what you want to get to? So now we're holding 6 lines from the bottom. V'leima omer le Rav Nachman le'ula. V'leima mar me'ani la'ani machlokes. Remember the code word, anilani. Perhaps the machlokes is actually in migui number 2. Do we say migui number 2? Maybe it's a machlokes. Maybe you shouldn't even say that. Just because you yourself could acquire the wheat, that's why you have the right to give it to somebody else? Maybe not. Maybe somebody holds you can't do that. Maybe that's chachamim. Chacham holds you can't do that. And I'll prove it to you. The Metzia hakol ani metzla. If we are talking about this case right over here, right? Our Mishnah. Metzia. So there's no such thing as being wealthy when it comes to Metzia. Everybody in the world is entitled to the same thing, and everybody's entitled to pick up money that you find in the street. So accordingly, we are all aniyim. We're all in the parsha. Just like when it comes to leket shikho peya, it's only for the poor. A Metzia is only for everybody. It's for the whole world. Not only, it's for everybody. Usnan. And what do we learn in the Mishnah? Person was on top of an animal and he sees this great Metzia. And he says, Chaim, get them for me. Not law. And Chaim grabs it. I want it for myself. If you say there's a machlokes in this exact case, whether or not we are all anim. So now it's only one migoi. Do you say the migoi or do you not say the migoi? If it was from a rich person to a poor person, now I have to say two migois. I have to say, first, bring the guy down from being wealthy to poor. That's migoi number 1. Once he's poor, could I be zechus for somebody else? But over here, we're talking about hefker. We're all in this parsha. So the question really is one. Can Chaim be zechus for Ruvain? That's it. So Rabbanan in this case will hold, you don't say one migoi. You don't say any migoi. Finished. But if the machlokes is from the wealthy to the poor, in other words, you say 1 or 2, but 1 you for sure say, according to everybody, you'll say 1 migoi. So who in the world says our Mishnah? Why can't Chaim be zoicha for the guy on the horse? What's the big deal? It's 1 migoi and everybody holds. You can say 1 migoi. Eli Amris machlokes. I'm sorry. Eli Amris Baal Shavani machlokes. Am Yon Elon Dirak Kol Zocha Loi Homani Loi Rabbanon V'Loi Reb Eliezer. If Rabbanon are going to say that you could say 1 migoi, and Reb Eliezer says you could say 2 migoi, so our Mishnah, you have 1 migoi, so let's go. Let him acquire for the guy on the horse. The case in the Mishnah, it's pretty obvious as you're learning it, that he says the guy that's picking up the socks over here, he's claiming, I never had you in mind. I never wanted you to be zaycha. I want to zaycha for myself. That's why amiga doesn't work. It only works when you want to be zaycha for somebody else. Over here he says, no, tchila, I never intended to be zaycha for you. And that makes sense. The Ktani Seifa. What does it say at the end of the Mishnah? He gave the socks to the guy on the horse. He comes running back 10 minutes later. Oh, sorry, I want the socks back. No, I want it back. Why? Because I acquired it for myself. Says Gemara, why do you have to stick in the word tchila? Obviously, he meant to say, he's not regretting it 10 minutes later, because everybody knows that you can't regret. You can't be an Indian giver. You give somebody something, and they, oh no, I want it back. You can't do that. That's pasha. So what was the Havamina? The Havamina is, he told, oh no, I never intended to give it to you. I thought you were forcing me or whatever, but I never intended to give it. Okay, that's a little bit of a chiddush. So why did I say it? Why did I say the word tchila? The whole word tchila at the end of the Mishnah is just to tell us that the beginning of the Mishnah is also talking about where it's one case. It's one type of case, not one case, but it's the same idea. Just like the Sefer we're talking about, he said, I never intended to. So too in the Reisha, he said, I never intended to. And that's how the Gemara answered. That's why Migi doesn't work here, because he never intended to be kaina the sacks for the guy on the horse. What is Rav Nachman going to say? On the Sefer, the opposite. It says it in the Sefer to tell you that in the Reisha, there is no tchila. Sefer d'amar tchila, Reisha d'amar tchila. Okay, so this is a question, why does the Sefer have the word tchila? Either to tell me that the Reisha is exactly like the Sefer, or to tell me the opposite. No, it's only in the Sefer that he says, I never intended, but in the Reisha, he did intend. Okay. So we're still going on with this idea. Are you permitted to acquire a lost object? You find a cell phone in the middle of the street, you have the nicest, newest one, you don't need it. So you think, oh yeah, I have a friend that needs one. Let me acquire it for him. You never intended to acquire for yourself. You want to acquire for your friend. Can you do it? Rav Nachman and Rav Chizda, who argue the whole time, finally they come here and they say, doesn't work. What's the reason? And we also touched upon this, a little bit of chazara. It's one thing to do something good for your friend, but not on the account of everybody else in the world. Now, by you acquiring it for your friend, you're not allowing anybody else to acquire it. You just caused a chayv to other people. What's the case? The case is, I owe 5 people money. And I'm not responding, I'm not communicating with anybody. So the halach is, you could basically go, we're not paskening here, but okay, based on the Gemara, you're allowed to go and grab stuff from him. All he has left is this computer right here. You are not owed any money, but you happen to see him walking in the street with a computer. You say, oh, but he owes my friend money. You go and you grab the computer from him. That's not allowed. Why? Because he owes 4 other people. And by you grabbing the computer, you're not allowing the other 4 people to grab it. You yourself, you can grab it, but you cannot be zechus for somebody else, because yes, it's a zechus for that somebody else, but it's a chay for everybody else. So, it happens to be, Rashi says over here, very, very interesting. Rashi says, there is an exception to the rule. When could that guy, when could you grab from me to pay off a loan? There is an exception to the rule. What do you think it is? When the guy is paid. When you pay somebody to be a shliach, shliach, Rashi says. Rashi says shliach. If you make somebody a shliach, that works. If you do it on your own, you can't just grab people's computers on your own. But if you're sent by one of the people that's owed money, you're allowed. Taisus asks a kasha, it doesn't make any sense. There's a Mefurish Gemara that says not like that. So the Shach says, what Rashi meant to say is that he's a shliach that was paid. Once you pay somebody to do something for you, now he's locked in, and he's like you. He's like your extended hand. So he's allowed to go and grab computers and stuff from somebody that owes you money. There are some that say, there's Mekubalim here in Eretz Yisrael that are worth $100 million, maybe even more. I saw like 5 years ago, one of them was worth $80 million. Mekablim. Okay. So to be melamed zechus, they take a lot of money from people. They don't demand it, but if you want to get a bracha from them, whatever. So one of the pshatim is that A Rebbe, only according to certain medrash, you only have a limited amount of brachas you could give. Limited amount. So he says like this, I can't give you a bracha because if I give you a bracha, I'm taking away from the other guy that I won't have anything left later. Amam eshchav. Oh, but if you make me a shliach, you pay me, like the Shach says, if you pay me, now I'm amish your extensions, now I can give you a bracha. So pay me. Givaldik. There I was when I was the sandik, just giving out brachas for free. I didn't realize it comes off the total. Eisvei Rav Rachman. No, it's people not even from the shir. Maybe if you're from the shir, okay, whatever. Eisvei Rav Rachman. Mitzias poyel atzmoi. So Rava asks his Rebbe, Rav Nachman, it says that when you find, you're working for somebody, you're getting paid. I'm going to see exactly how do you get paid. You're getting paid by the job, you're getting paid by the hour. What are you getting paid? But a worker, an employee, he finds a nice diamond ring while he's working, he keeps it. Wait a minute, says the Gemara. If he says, I want you to work in my garden and do a little work over there, great. I want you to do something specific. I want you to plant, I want you to do this. Okay. So says Rashi, listen to this, unbelievable. The guy is working. I paid you $100 to whatever, irrigate my field. And you find a diamond ring, you can keep it. Says Rashi, but wait a minute. You were getting paid for the job. So you have to pay the balabayis for the time it took you to lift up that find. That's what it says. Says Rabbi Yankee Gulinsky, how long does it take to bend down and pick up a ring and put it in your pocket? 22 seconds max. No, how much is that? You're getting paid $100 a day. Divide that by whatever, by the hours and by the minutes and by the seconds. How much is 22 seconds? He says nothing. It's less than a pruta. Nevertheless, says Rashi, you mechuyev to go to your employer and say, listen, I stopped for 22 seconds to pick something up. Let's make a little cheshbon, take off 10 cents, and that's it. That's what he says. So alachas Bava Kama, if you're at work, you're on your cell phone and schmoozing and texting and all this stuff, how does that work? If you stop for a few seconds, not to mention the other Gemara that we had, that he was in the middle of working, one of the Amoraim was working on a field, and Chacham walked by and he said hello to him, he didn't reply, because it's Geneva. To even say hello, I'm getting paid. When I'm getting paid, I don't say hello. Somebody should talk to my cleaning lady. Seriously. She's on her phone, sitting down, relaxing, and I walk by and she's not even embarrassed. She doesn't even jump up, and it's part of the job. I'm serious. She maybe works 50% of the time. Maybe. We're on a good day. It's my fault. I didn't say anything. You were scared to say something because you can't get a cleaning lady in the neighborhood. You know what I'm talking about? So it's okay. What? You're lucky to have her at all. Exactly. But I'm paying 200 shekel an hour. No, he's looking at me like I'm crazy. 200 shekel per hour of work. I don't know what she does on there. Okay. Listen to this, Rabbi Isai. But if you hire a guy by the day, so now you didn't tell him what to do. You work for me. I need you to do some gardening, you'll do gardening. When you're done with that, you go upstairs, you move some furniture around, then you'll do some cleaning. I don't want to say this, but just l'saber sa'izin so that we understand. Like a slave, like an eved. An eved, mashkana eved kana rabbi. Now he's Jewish. He's not an eved. You can't make a... But just to understand it a little bit. You are working for me. Whatever you do. So if you lift diamond rings off the ground, you did it for me. You're my employee. Now, if he's smart, as the Gemara says, he could say, I'm done. Our deal of me working for you today is over. I need to pick this up and keep it for myself. I'm not working for you. But if he forgets to say that, so no. Says the Gemara, so So wait a minute. Over here you see mefurish that if somebody picks up something for his friend, he's an employee. He picked up a diamond ring. Who gets it? The employer. So you see that you could acquire something for another individual. What are you telling me? You can't acquire anything. Hamagbiya, Rav Nachman says, if you lift up an item with intent of your friend, it doesn't go to your friend. So how come over here the Gemara says that an employee who picks up an item, the employer gets it? There's no intent there. It's automatic. His hand, it's an extension of his hand. Once he pays him for the day, he becomes him. As the Gemara, how could that be? A little bit of a picture. This guy is running away. He says, "Where do you think you're going? Stop." He says, I could break. If you're a Jewish employee, you could break. You could stop in the middle of the day. Nobody can force you. Famous Maisa, the owner of the big factory, comes to the factory. He sees everybody's working beautifully. He sees one lazy guy in the stairs just chilling out. So he goes over and says, "What do you think you're doing? How much you earn a month?" It's $2,000. It's $2,000. He says, "Take the $2,000. I don't want to see you ever again. You're done." Okay. So the guy leaves. And he turns to like the head guy over there. He says, "What was this guy? What was he?" He says, "Oh, no, he's just delivering pizza. He was waiting for his..." Oh, yes, an employee has the right to break it in the middle of the day and just leave. But if he didn't, so he's continuing as he promised, and now his hand is an extension of the hand of the employer. But why could a person break his deal? That a Jew can never be somebody else's slave. Yeah, there's something called Eved Ivri, but typically speaking, you cannot be somebody's slave. So when he decides in the middle of the day to leave, he can leave. You can't stop him. So very, very interesting shayla that I saw in a sefer called Mishpacha Halacha. So he says, what about, it's a story that he said, a guy came to him, he was Baltshuva, becoming Baltshuva, and he got accepted to the Israeli Air Force. And he wants to know if he could sign a 7-year contract with them, because they put in millions of dollars into these pilots. So they make you sign that you're not going to leave for 7 years. Because you're going to take all these courses for 3 years, 4 years, use all their fuel and their planes, right? Wear and tear on F-16 is how much? Huh?
What did I have?
It's millions, right?
It's tens of thousands an hour.
Tens of thousands an hour, of course. And whatever, the island doesn't understand. How much do you think an engine of an F-16 costs? And you have to do overall.
A commercial turbine runs about $500,000.
Nah, it's more, I think.
Commercial. On that engine, sky's the limit.
Right. Just the overhaul, and how many hours do you think they have on that? 2,000? No, probably more.
Commercial, 3,500 to 5,000 hours.
The kids are every few thousand hours, you have to spend over $1 million just to take apart the engine and look at it. Every few thousand. Kids, it's millions. Each pilot, I'm sure they invest millions of dollars per pilot. So you have to promise them that you're not leaving. So he wants to know, and this is interesting, you'd never think about it. He wants to know, is it a problem of me being a slave to somebody? Because I cannot leave for 7 years. So I thought it's a joke. When I'm starting to read it, I was like, slave. And he says, listen, as hard as it sounds, I can't give the guy a heter. I don't know how to give, I can't find the heter for this guy. 2-3 years, people have contracts. They sign contracts. They're going to work at a certain place for a certain amount of time. Okay. But 7 years, anything over 3 years is like very problematic. You're basically saying,
you always have a clause that if you leave, you have to pay this.
But not in the Air Force. He talks about it. Not in the Air Force. There is no clause in the Air Force. You can't say, oh, Air Force, I will pay you $10 million. First of all, you don't have $10 million. Second of all, it's a government thing, so you don't have a clause. Correct. If I'm working for somebody else, I say, listen, if I leave, I'll pay you X amount of money. Fine. I hear. It's just interesting to think about.
Contracts with Rav Eli were never more than 3 years.
Oh, Contract with the Rabbanim. I was thinking about Rabbanim also, but it's never more than 3 years because of this reason. I don't want to be a slave to my community. Givaldik. Contract for Rabbanim, never more than 3 years. Or Reb Chia bar Abba or Reb Yochanan. Hamigbiya metzil chaveiro, yikon chaveiro, ibim toim mishnasenu. Oh, comes Reb Yochanan says. By the way, stop. Throw it in because it's Motzei Shabbos. Why not? Talking about avodim, people are slaves to themselves, to their bodies, to their habits. So it says in this week's parasha, quick vart. It says in this week's parasha, the word mesayem says it without a yud. So Rashi says the reason why it's without a yud is because you would think that they did a good thing. The Nasim said, we're going to wait until the end and let's see what's missing and we'll fill the gap. So that's a nice thing. No, they did it out of atzlus, laziness. They were lazy. And then what does it say? They were the first. So you learn on your side from here that even though they might have had in their nature a certain type of atzlus, every bad habit, no matter what, biting your nails or picking your nose, whatever the bad habit is, it's breakable. You can break a bad habit. As I state, you don't have to be a slave to your habits. Every bad habit. Here, Reb Elchanan argues on Rav Nachman, if you try to acquire a lost item for your friend, it works. What about our Mishnah, the guy on the horse tells him to lift it, it seems like it doesn't work. The Amar Tnali, he said the wrong lashon. He said, give it to me. He should have said, I'm zechus for you. Just to point out, Reb Elchanan is the one that says, he also, Taisus points out, he says, doesn't work. How do you rectify this problem? You could, what? Reconcile. Not rectify. Rectify is to fix. I got it. Okay, reconcile. How do you reconcile this problem in the Hebrew and the English? Again, you could acquire something for your friend, a Metzia, but you cannot grab something from a Balchayv. You can't, if you owe money, your friend can't grab from the guy that owes you because it's Chav Lacherem. So how come this is not Chav Lacherem by Metzia? So Taisa says, because by Metzia, he could lift it up himself. He could acquire it for himself. So since he could acquire for himself, he could acquire because okay. Zok the Mishnah. This is going to be a Mishnah that hopefully you never forget in your life. A person sees a lost item and he falls on it. Comes another person and he grabs it. The one that grabs it. Okay, I don't know what 19 is. Oh, this one. Okay, got it. Yishkoyach. Rabbi Sai, here we go. This is a story that I found out afterwards that our animator, he was supposed to be done at like 8 o'clock for the Hebrew Shir, but it was the next day. We told him 8 o'clock. And Lamaisa, he was finished 8 o'clock in the morning. He pulled off another 10 or 11 hours through the night. It takes a long time to do this thing, but I think this is a better one. So what you have over here is a pot of chont. Rabbi Isai, enjoy.
Yummy, yummy.
That's no, it's better with sound. Yeah, the Israelis never. They get the raw end of the deal every time. Okay. You saw a Metzia and you fell on it. Obviously, you have to have a shtickle imagination. It doesn't say from the second floor, but I told the guy, so it has to be chond, and of course, it jumped 2 floors. And then another guy comes and grabs it. What's the halacha? Omer Shlakish, Mishum Abba Kohen Bardala. Arba Mishalim Konis Le B'chol Makom. Rabbi said this is a famous halach in all of Shas. People talk about it. They throw this out. One of the kids threw it out like in the beginning of Bava Metzia. Your 4 Amos acquire things for you. You don't even have to pick it up. If it's within 8 feet of you, a person walks around, he has Arba Amos, that acquires. My time at the Kinu Rabbanon, D'loi Osi, Linsuye. Chachamim made it takana that people shouldn't fight. Now, what's the halacha if there are 2 people in the Dalet Amos and there's a lost item there? 2 people. What's the halacha? So the Ramah says, Yachlaiku. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you were here yesterday, please don't answer. It's a beautiful thing. I don't think anybody's going to get the answer. And if you do, you get 1,000 points. If you have 2 children, a boy and a girl, in a box, in 4 hours, the Ramah says that if something falls there, you divide it. A boy and a girl under the age of, 12. They're under Bava Metzia. And all of a sudden there's a set of Lego there. A Metzia. They found Lego. Does anybody acquire it? Does either one of them acquire it? Do both of them acquire it? Do their parents acquire it? What happens? What's the halacha? Huh? Anybody want to take a stab at it? I'm telling you it's tough. Hefker. Nobody. You say nobody. Okay, I got it. Nobody. The parents. Both parents. Both parents. Okay, anybody else? That's it? Kol Dalam Gvar. So because of the boy wins. No? Okay, I don't know if we'll get there today, but the answer is, it's going to shock everybody, the girl gets it. It's one of the only times in Shas that the girls win. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. Because a girl could acquire with her chutzner, she acquires things, a get, and therefore she also acquires a metzia. A boy doesn't have that halacha. So the girl wins in this case. Says Gemara. Omar Abaye. Moisei Reb Chia bar Yosef Peya. Omar Rava. Moisei Reb Yaakov bar Yidin Nezikin. Says Abaye, we have a question from Peya. Says Rava, we have a question from Nezikin. What's the question? Omar Abaye Moisei Reb Chia bar Yosef Peya. What's the question from Peya? Notam mixes Peya v'zorak al ashar. Let's go to the picture of Peya so the Eli remembers. Peya is something that you give to the poor person. You have to leave a corner of the field for the poor. Comes the poor person and he wants to acquire it, so he takes a bunch of the tfuah, he throws it on top. Ein lai ba klum. Even what he grabbed and he ripped out of the ground to throw on top of the rest of the pile, he doesn't even get that. Nothing. He jumps on top of it. Peres talisa aleh. He puts his cloak on top of it. Ma'avir noisei meno. We throw him away. Interesting. Sometimes when you make the wrong ishtadlus, you do the wrong action, you get 0. You get a dry cleaning bill, you have to put a band-aid on, and you go home. If you know what to do, and that is, you just stand still, you go to Daf Yomi, so you know the halachas, Dalet Amos should acquire from L'chayra, as the Gemara, V'chein ba'omer shikcha. Shikcha, we're going to talk about it tomorrow a lot. No, it's not this. Okay. Shikha is when, I do have shikha. Here we go, shikha. Basically, if you forget a whole sheaf, call it a sheaf, fine. If you forget it, you walk by it, you didn't pick it up, you have to leave it for the poor. So somebody, the same thing, they threw a towel on it, nothing. But what about the 4 amos? I just stood there within 4 hours. Forget about me falling on it. It should be mine just by standing there. Says the Gemara, because he didn't say, I want to acquire it. Ask the Gemara, so what if he didn't say it? If you're talking about so he didn't say it. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Since he fell on it, he showed that he doesn't want to acquire with the Dalet Amos. He wants to acquire with falling on it. And therefore he loses out because he just doesn't know the halacha. By the way, I have to point out that from here on it should be much, much easier. It's just the first 8 daf of Bava Metzia that are a little bit more difficult. Usually I didn't find it that difficult, but people claim that it's from now on smooth sailing. Rapapa Omar. Daf Yud, Amud Beis. I can't even get to the sponsors. He jumps out and he says it so fast. It's unbelievable. Turning to the Daf Kidnovations LLC, my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, who sent me an email. Shkoyach as a zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga. Ner Tamid of Baltimore, Maryland, in honor of Fishel and Simcha Gross. Thanks to them, 137 people learned over 16,000 daf and over 720,000 minutes of Torah and mesayem Bava Kama with MDY. Says the Gemara, Be'almois is beautiful. Yes, a person has 4 amas, but not when he walks into somebody else's house or field. It doesn't make any sense. It's my house. It's my field. What are you establishing? Forget that word. Establishing. I have another shit to give. So, we'll never say that word again. Establishing. Why are you trying to make a rishus in my rishus? It doesn't work. It's my house. It's my field. And even though the Torah says you could go into that field to walk in there and to grab the fruit, the Torah never said that you have 4 amas in there. Very nice teretz. Abaye brought a kasha from Peah. I'm asking you from Nizikin. What? Our Mishnah Roy a guy sees a pot of chont and he jumps on it. And then another guy came and grabbed it from underneath the stomach. The one that grabbed it from underneath the stomach was Zaycha. Ask the Gemara, if you tell me that 4 amas is enough, how come the 4 amas didn't work before he jumped on it? It should be his just by being there within 4 amas. What's the teretz, Rabbi Eli? Same teretz. He didn't say the words, I want to be koina. You're talking Rabbanon, but if Rabbanon said the 4 amas is koina, who cares if he didn't say it? So since he showed that he doesn't want to use the 4 amas, I only want to use jumping, falling on top of something, doesn't work. Doesn't work, yeah. It's not a derech kinyan. It's not akba. It's the opposite of akba. It's smushing into the ground. Kiveger says that in our Rosh Hashanah, in our days, let's even say that it's not a real Rosh Hashanah. It's not a Rosh Hashanah, let's say for Shabbos, for Yitzah, whatever. But yet, there's no Dalet Amas. You can't acquire anything in your Dalet Amas. Don't think that you're walking down the street, oh, it's not a Rosh Hashanah, I can acquire. Now, that's in a busy street, like 13th Avenue, or over here in Ramat Bet Shemesh, the Merkaz. But a quieter street, I'm not going to say that this street over here, because this is a crazy street, but a normal street, with not so many people, then 4 amas does work. There is a kinyan of Dalet Amas, believe it or not. But another chiddush, we do paskin that falling on something is kaina. That's how we paskin la halacha. That it doesn't ruin it. It's not like, oh, I'm showing that I don't want to use the Dalet Amas, like we said before. If you fall on something, you're kaina. Maybe because of the Dalet Amas. Says the Gemara. Rav Sheshes Zomar Kitakinu Rabbanon Besimta. When Rabbanon said that Dalet Amas works, that is in a simta. Let's see, where's the simta over here? Okay, here. So this would be right over here. This is like a simta off of the Rosh Hashanah. Maybe this over here too, but more this guy over here. Okay, so it's quieter. The loydachki rabbi, you don't have a lot of people there. Rosh Hashanah, the kodachki rabbi, and the rabbanon. There's so many people going back and forth. They can't give you 4 amas. You don't have your 8 feet. As the Gemara, it said everywhere. So this is Tzidei Rosh Hashanah right over here. Take a look. This is Rosh Hashanah down the center. Tzidei Rosh Hashanah, not so much a sidewalk. Doesn't mean it has to be higher up like a sidewalk. The sides that are adjacent to the homes, that's Tzidei Rosh Hashanah. Ktana ein lo chotzer ve'ein lo arba amos. Rabbi Isai, a ktana over here, according to him, doesn't have a chotzer. Here's a chotzer. Take a look. If she's a ktana and her husband threw a get in there, she doesn't acquire it. Vein la'arba amos. Here's 4 amas. She doesn't have, if he threw the get into the 4 amas, doesn't work. It's not true. Rabbi Yochanan says she does have a chotzer, she has 4 amas. Says Gemara, what's machlokes? So we look at the famous pasuk, because of the Sophia Ruth, he has to put it in her hand. So is a yard, a chotzer, an extension of her hand? Just like she has a hand, you can put her in her hand and she's divorced. So too, she has a chotzer. It's not true. The chotzer is more of an agent than anything else. Since she's a ktana cannot make an agent, so she can't use a chotzer. Ask the Gemara, is there anybody that says that a chotzer is an agent? So it says in the pasuk of Gneva, if we found the Gneva in his hand. Now think about it. You have to find the stolen bicycle in the guy's hand. He's walking around the whole day with the stolen computer. No. So how do I know that it includes also gag chotzer karfav? I'm just saying, I'm showing this again because I remember when we were learning Eruvin, I was so excited that the guy from the Pirush Chai gave me permission to use his pictures, and I enhanced it from black and white pencil, and I added red marks to it. And I was so excited. Wow, look at this, technology. Then came Yoshi and embarrassed me. There's a guy stealing a goat on a rooftop. And over here, you add a little animation. This is in a chotzer. And look what happens to the door. Slams the door shut. Boom. Gnev in a chotzer. Karfav. This is a karfav. A little bit better than this guy. Oh, you like the black and white better, says Zaman Tzvi. Okay, for you, that's why I put it in for you. Okay, whatever you say. Matanya. I don't know if the stolen stuff is in the gag, in the chotzer. Think about it. What's this himotze? Why does the Torah say twice? It should say in Hebrew. In Lashon Kodesh. What's himotze? Double. Himotze timotze. Mikol makom. Everywhere. Ask the Gemara. If it's true that your real estate is your agent. Interesting question. I hope the Olam is going to get the answer on their own. It comes out that if you close the door of your chotzer, then you made your chotzer a shliach to steal for you. And yes, shliach l'devar avera. We said ein shliach l'devar avera. Now, why do we say ein shliach l'devar avera always? That doesn't really apply to chotzer. When we say this, that you can't be an agent for an avera, when the shliach is chayiv, it's also for him to do it. Since the chotzer doesn't have isurim, he can't be over on gneva, so he could be a shliach d'var avera. We're going to see that it's not exactly how I said it. The Gemara is saying he's a bar chiyuv. A field is not a bar chiyuv. So what comes out is I could find a case where there's a human being that's not a bar chiyuv, and therefore he could be an agent for an avera if he doesn't have a chiyuv. For instance, a woman is not over on baltakiv of shaving this part of her head. So if I tell her to shave a young child, so she becomes my agent. Why? Because she's not a bar chiyuv. You just told me that in order to be an agent, you have to not be a bar chiyuv. So a woman is not a bar chiyuv in that case. And this is a case for a man as well. Oh, what if I tell a woman or a slave to go steal? And this also you should know the answer right away. If a woman steals, she doesn't pay. Why? Because she's married and she doesn't have any cash. But is she allowed to steal? So it's a big kasha. The Akiva your ass. What's going on here? She's not allowed to. She just doesn't have to pay, but she's not allowed to. Okay. So because she's not a bar chiyuv, maybe the Gemara has a better answer. But because she's not a bar chiyuv, so therefore whoever sent a woman to steal, he should be chayiv because yesh shliach l'dvar aver in that case. Amr is no. Ish v'eved b'nei chiyuv b'ninu. No, a woman is chayiv and a slave is chayiv. V'ashtemi less shalume. They don't have money to pay, but they're chayiv. This nan. This garsha ha'isha nishtachar eved chayav l'shalom. We learned Bava Kama that a woman is b'giyas ra. Stay away from them. They don't have money, but if they ever get divorced, the chiyuv comes right back and they have to pay. Rav Sama Amar Heicha Amrina Nin Shlich Devar Aveira. Rav Sama says something similar but different. Where do we say there's no Shlich Devar Aveira? Heicha Di Boy Ovid Vi Boy Lovid. When a person has a bchira, I could choose yes, I could choose not. A chatzir doesn't have bchira. He can't decide whether or not he wants to do it. Mechayiv Sholchai. In that case, he chayiv. What's that clock for? How long are we on for?
52 minutes.
How many? 52. Okay, almost done. So what's the difference between this teretz that we just said, that a woman, or when do we say shlich devar aver, when a person has a bechira to do yes or not, or what we said before, that we don't say shlich devar aver when they're not a bar chiyuv, they're not in the parasha. My benai. When a kohen who tells a Yisrael is allowed to marry a divorcee, but a kohen is not allowed to. So if a kohen tells the Yisrael, go get me a wife who's a divorcee, so then the kohen would be over on the kiddushin. Why? There's a lav to be mekadosh, because yesh shliach l'dvar aveira, according to this man Amar, when the person that's doing it doesn't have the chiyuv, he's not over, and that's the Yisrael. In another case, ish domer lo isha akvili katan. Here is the picture from Nazir. If a woman, now first of all, what's akvi katan? Let's just do this for a second, because this is very important. I know people in my own family, some of my best friends, they're not aware of this halacha so well. So we gotta drum it in. I tried. Somebody in my family who shaves his whole head. He was standing in Meir Sharm, and a brisket guy came over to him and goes, "Also the Raisa," and ran away. Okay, fine. I don't want to be that guy. So, in a hint, we say this. So, here's the Isser. The Isser is to shave below that red line. Here, we'll put on the laser again. No? Here. Right over here. Anything below this, you're not allowed to shave. From the point of the ear to the forehead. Now, where people get confused, and here is also a little bit also to play around over here because it's below that line. And it's above the bone over here. There's a bone. People get confused. I spoke to a couple of people that are pretty frum, but they shave the whole head. You know, they're balding and they shave the whole head. So I said, what's going on? Now it has to be, you have to be able to grab. If it's less than being able to grab, then it becomes the Issa Deraisa. 2 centimeters, whatever it is. So they say, well, I'm shaving my whole head. I'm not just shaving over here, I'm shaving my whole head. And that is a mistake, because most Tanaim hold that Takavas Kolaroi Shma Kafa, shaving the whole head is Issa Deraisa as well. It's not just this area. If you do the whole head, you're also over. There is, I think, one shita that says it's Issa Derabana. So at least the Issa Derabana, but it's not mutter. So let's keep on going. A woman doesn't have the Isser on herself, right? There's women till this very day that shave their whole head. They're not over on the Isser. So if you send a woman to do it to a child, you're over according to this. Why? Because she's not in the parasha and you're over, she becomes your shliach. If it has to do with pchira and not pchira, so over here, over here the woman has the choice to say no. So therefore the man that sent her is not chayiv. Where the woman in this case, or the Yisrael is bringing a shidduch, he's not in the chiyuv, the guy sending is chayiv. The guy, the sender is chayiv. Interesting case. Ask the Gemara, should we go weiter? Hold on, where do we get to in Hebrew? Okay, we'll stop over here. A boy say, Have a wonderful week. Yishkoyach for coming. Thank you. We'll say hello to some people. We have to start the shir in about 5 minutes, the Hebrew one. So we have about 5 minutes. Good Chodesh.